Last episode went really well. Up until the end, everything was going smoothly. We were making mad gains on the economy. We still are. But we had a meeting with the... Sorry, we attended a Swordish festival? Not a festival. It was kind of like a funeral or Remembrance Day type thing. And we got chased out of the state. So it didn't go too well. But we'll see what that brings. Yeah, they just weren't happy with me there. The Bludish people, to be fair, right? Actually, not to be fair. To be brutally honest, the Bludish people are a bunch of idiots. Like, the only thing they're doing is hanging on to the past. And that's why they're always going to be in the dark. They're never ever going to progress. Because they can only hang on to the tragedies that's befell their people. Mate, tragedies don't befall an entire group of people. They befall individuals. Listen, your extremist BFF groups are what's bringing this down on your own people. Don't hold the country in which you live in responsible. Hold the people that are bringing these negative traits towards you accountable, because they're making your people look bad. Listen, if you just got on board with my politics and everything, you wouldn't be having this issue. Do you know what I mean? Like, these Bloods are a bunch of idiots. They're cretins. Not only that, they're happy with their women being at home so they can come home from a hard day's work and use them as a punching bag. Like, what type of Neanderthal thinks like that? Do you know what I mean? And not only that, I'm sure we had an incident that happened in one of these places. It was not an incident, it was like a report, where the Bludish women, housewives, protested our regime to give women equal rights. What type of detrimental thinking is that? I don't believe we should try and help these people. We should just... What's the word I'm looking for? We should just genocide them. Genocide is 100% acceptable in a situation where these people are brain dead, in this whole nation. Bludish people are brain dead. That's my thoughts. I'm sick of them. Briefing on the current political situation, right? So you know my views about the Bludish people at the minute. And you know what it is? I understand it's not the full Bludish people, but when we go to this rally and we get chased from a state, that is unacceptable. Like, if you look objectively at what I'm doing, what I've done for the country, including all the Bludish people, I've given them healthcare because they live in the rural areas. I've increased their education. They don't want it. They're just like, oh no, we're happy with our wives being slapped about at home. Oh yes, we're happy to be enabling this terrorist organisation to come and create problems all across the land. Nah mate, that's not how it works. I will crush you. I walked to the White Room with a cup of coffee in my hand. I had a meeting with the Vice President on the current political situation. I opened the doors and entered the room. Albert immediately stood up. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning. I wanted to give you some quick news about the current political climate. Mr. Hall has reported to me that he almost concluded the plan for the next steps we can take for improving our economy. He said he wanted to solidify the plan before it was presented to you. He will schedule a meeting soon to go over our options. Tell him to be quick because our administration depends on it. I understand. I will relay this to him as soon as possible. There is something else you need to know. Well... What? Pardon me? There is something else you need to know. Well, that's it for now. I'm feeling this guy's left out a key piece of valuable information, because he was... Okay then, I guess that's it. As I mentioned, this was just a quick update. If anything changes, immediately inform me. Of course, Mr. President. I left the room to attend my next meeting. Well, that wasn't really... Nothing really happened there. Oh, looks like we're on to the next chapter then. Hegel would take all the necessary steps. In a televised address, Chancellor Emmerich Hegel claimed intensive fighting was taking place between the Agnolian forces and the locals of Hazeland, resulting in the massacre of ethnic Valgs living on the island. He portrayed the conflict as a national struggle and compared it to the independence war of the former colonies in Riga. Hegel said Valgsland, as the gubernator of Hazeland's security, would take all the necessary steps to prevent mass atrocities committed against the islanders. Van Horten said, Valgsland must withdraw their harassment squad from the Markian Sea before any diplomatic talks can happen. I'm not sure who's the good side in this, so let's just keep out of it. The Women's Liberation Act. The Assembly, in cooperation with the Commission on the Status of Women, passes following laws. Section 1 criminalises domestic violence. Exactly, this is what we're passing, which is funny enough what we've just been talking about. That occurs against women. Subsection 1 of Section 1 gives state protection to abused women. Section 2 enforces equal pay for women in the workplace and disallows companies from paying less or more for the same job position. Section 3 affirms that the education system should provide equal treatment to both genders. Section 4 enacts paid maternity leave and state-subsidised daycare centres for mothers. That's really good, because what I did not want to see in this act was the quotas. I don't think quotas work, and especially not. That takes out the fairness in the whole system. And if you haven't got fairness in your system, it's destined to fail. Okay, so yes, one government budget. Ooh, it's going to take us to -2, but this is something we need. Oof, that's the most in debt we've ever been in the entire game. End of day at the home. It was raining as Sergei dropped me off home after yet another grueling day of work. The guard held an umbrella over my head as I walked from the car to my front door. Inside the house was completely dark. I flipped on the light in the kitchen to find notes from Monica. Sarah had called her in for a last-minute women's rights meeting. She dropped Dina off at a friend's and left me some food for reheating. I took the pot out of the fridge. It was filled with an unidentifiable greyish-looking stew. Evidently, Monica's excellent cooking had been the first casualty of her political career. Let's order a pizza. I called Sergei and asked him to pick me up a pizza for dinner. While I was waiting for him, I went into the living room to fix myself a drink. Suddenly the phone rang. I went back to the kitchen and answered it. Frank's voice was on the other end. Oh, I thought Mom would pick up. Your mother works harder than I do these days. Alright, Dina's going to have a fit if she gets rid of the girls' handicraft classes. There was long silence. How's Uncle Peter doing? Oh yeah, Peter. Actually, we've never seen Peter since we sacked him. Surprisingly well. He's actually seen a therapist. He may even quit alcohol. That's good news. Wow, did I just see a pig fly? So I've been seeing this new girl at school. Really? What's she like? Is she a looker? She's beautiful. Actually, Dad, she's Bludish. Oh no, son. Why are you doing this to me? Nah, I'm actually not even bothered. Like, now it is. I've got no ill will against the Bludish people as much as it sounds like I do. I just think they're creating problems for themselves. Anybody who doesn't create a problem for themselves, I've got no issue with you. But when you're chasing your president out of the land, having violent protests and causing issues for the police and locals, it's not acceptable. I don't care what your views are. What they need to realise is that they don't live in an equal society at the moment, but they need to realise that I'm putting extreme measures in place to make sure everybody gets equality. So sit down and shut the fuck up. Right. I'm surprised she'd be interested in the president's son. So what? So what? I've got nothing against the Bloods. You're joking, right? She told me a bit about what her family's going through back in Berger. Dad, you have to stop this. Stop what? She's got you henpecked already. This is exactly right. I'm doing my best, son, but the militants there are making it hard for us. You really don't get it, do you? Alright, Mr. expert politician. Do you want to come and tell me what we should be doing then? Maybe I'll bring her over for dinner next week. Maybe once you meet her, you'll understand the harm you're doing. Mate, maybe when she comes over to me, she'll understand the harm her fucking lies and shit about her people. Oh, the Bludish people protect our culture. Mate, no one gives a fuck about culture. Enjoy your life, strive for better. I think culture is often an excuse to hinder progress. Oh, it's okay for them to do that because that's their culture. No, mate, it's not. It's not okay to fucking throw babies off buildings. No, it's not okay to beat your wife just because it's your culture. Doesn't wash with me, not a single fucking bit. Same with religion. Oh, yes, it's religion for decades, for years, for hundreds of years. So we can persecute gays. Well, no, you can't, mate, because that's not how we fucking roll. Do you know what I mean? Like, nah. Like, I just, it boggles my mind that these people still exist. It's really troubling. Maybe I'll bring it over for dinner. Maybe once you meet, you'll understand what harm you're doing. The doorbell rang. Sergey was here with my pizza. Son, my pizza's here and you're pissing us off, so go away. I have to go. Try calling your mother tomorrow. Yeah, okay, bye. We both hung up. And let's see, this is another thing. I've got so much to get off my chest this episode. I didn't even know where it's come from, right? But do you know how you get so let's say you've got, for example, the Bloods. So he's just started dating a Bludish girl. He's head over heels for her because his dick's throbbing. He's not thinking straight. So because he wants to protect this girl that he's so madly in love with, he's going to change his political views, even though they're complete nonsense, just because he wants to get in between her fanny lips. See, this is why the world's fucked, because there's a lot of weak men. There's a lot of weak men that'll be skewed by silly things like that, whereas you won't get a lot of men that'll be like, yeah, I'm dating this lovely girl, but our politics are shit. Like, that will really ruin a relationship unless you're strong. But that's just the way it is. I let Sergey in. The pizza he'd brought was gargantuan. Would you like to come and join me for dinner? I think there's a football game on. Sorry, sir. I've got to get back to my family. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sergey left. I ate my pizza along with the flickering light on the television, wondering when Monica and Dina would go home. Alright, let's see what's going on in the region. The report from Lashevan. Fair Trade Commission creates trade regulation. Excellent. They began work in assessing the existing trade irregularities and unfairness. The first act of the Commission will be to create new trade regulations to balance import and export differences to ensure local competition can remain strong. That is a positive change. Record number of female students. See, man, wow, we are making waves. The proportion of female students enrolled in Sutherland's education system is getting closer to half the student body, with more than 1 million enrolments recorded this academic year being women, the highest share on record in Sutherland, according to a report by the Ministry of Education. Yeah, we are smashing this out the park. Relocation benefits. Our effect to relocate teachers and doctors has met some pushbacks, but also yielded beneficial results. The villagers in Rebel are being educated in the fields of agriculture, botanics, increasing the agricultural output of the region, which is excellent because we invested in the agricultural output. Everything's fallen into place. Police are overwhelmed in remote cities. Oof, yeah, that's going to be trouble. Since the deployment of the police forces to combat unrest, many attacks have occurred in remote cities. See, that's unacceptable. Ambushes are rampant and the security forces are being pushed back. Police stations and patrols were the main target of the militants. Unless reinforcements are provided, the current forces are not enough to control the situation. Human Dignity Bill. Human Dignity Bill? What's this? Don't have your dick out in public. The newly proposed bill will amend Section 3 of the 1923 Legal Transactions Act that allowed the legislation of transactions which occur in non-registered businesses. There's so many words going on here that mean nothing. Or other entities, like single persons. What? If the parties delivered accurate documentation to the financial authority, this created a legal loophole for prostitution. The Human Dignity Bill will protect common decency and prevent the violation violation of moral principles that occur in the act of prostitution by making it an illegal offence in which perpetrators are punishable by law. Hold on a second. So the Human Dignity Bill is to make prostitution illegal. Is that the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard? What's wrong with prostitution? I don't understand the issue. Nah, mate, I'm not signing that. Human Dignity Bill, that's pathetic. Veto that bad boy. We love prostitutes. I love some prostitutes. Election campaign ramps us up across Swordland. Vice President is recovering from alcoholism. Excellent. Peter's on the rise. Protect Swordish sex workers. Exactly. President Rain has vetoed the Human Dignity Bill. This bill would have seen sex work become an illegal offence and punishable by law. See, that's ridiculous. I would never support such a thing. Swordish corporations bemoan Women's Liberation Act. Imagine if I'd signed that. That would completely contradict the sex workers. Discussion on the current internal affairs. A storm was on the horizon outside my window. The inside of my office, however, was very warm and cosy. Oh, it's Monsoon Lake. I straightened myself on the sofa next to the fireplace and looked at Monsoon, who was sitting on the couch across from me. He was here representing all 8 Bludish members of the Assembly. Yeah, I imagine this is off the back of that terrible meeting we had with the Bludish memorial. He had dark creases under his eyes from the lack of sleep. As I said earlier, we've been working on this bill for a long time, Mr. President. I've always done my best to represent my people and kept getting blocked in the Assembly. We can't have the same happen again. I've always brought my people's concerns to the Assembly, raised my voice whenever our rights were in question. We fought to have the Assembly to at least have a proper discussion. Well, listen, mate, you got to understand, I reduced the percentage that people needed to get into the Assembly. That's benefited your people. I'm sure you'll admit that just to fit your narrative, but never mind. But all that we get is disrespect. MP shouting racial slurs, well, that's unacceptable at us, not allowing us to speak. It's not only the National Front, it's the USP. He sighed. I don't even remember a time when Miss Tory allowed me to finish a speech. The Assembly do not take us independence seriously. And you, Mr. President, have approved anti-Bludish policies. Listen, what about what's this? I don't even know. It's so bad I'm the president, I don't even know what my country's called. Swordish. Anti-Swordish? I know or want to believe that you only did this for political power. I am here to ask you to reconsider your stance. We can make a difference in Swordland together. Okay, well, what's your proposal? Okay, let's be diplomatic here. It is true that I have some regrets over my actions, but how can I help you? We should start by undoing your regrets, Mr. President. You were not only silent about the racism in the country, but enabled it. Mate, it goes both ways, mate. And you effectively removed our language in Swordland, first from religion and then from schools. Well, yes. Am I not wrong? I think I'm right. What are these laws if not an attempt of a cultural genocide? Listen, mate, when your culture is posing a problem to the greater good, then maybe it does deserve genocide. It is time to undo these mistakes, Mr. President. Okay, then what exactly are you asking me to do? Our proposal will give amnesty to those who were falsely arrested for having ties to the Democratic Bludish Freedom Party. Okay, I'm possibly on board with that. Pass our proposal as a decree. You don't need the Assembly. And let us independents form a commission for minority rights. But this is the thing. I've got no problem with this guy setting up a commission for minority rights. But for the bigger picture, equal rights for everyone. Like, if these Bludish people, not even the Bludish people, because I keep saying the Bludish people, the Bludish Freedom Front, that are the extremist wing of the Bludish people, if they would just pack it in and get on board with the progression of the country, they would have equal rights. There'd be no issue. Well, this isn't a big ask, actually. Amnesty for the falsely arrested, yeah, fair enough. And let us independents form a commission for minority rights. Okay, I'll do it. If this can lower the marches, lower the violence, and stop the protests, I think it's a worthwhile concession. Thank you, Mr. President. He rose up and walked up to me. He extended a hand. It means a lot, thank you. We shook hands. Suddenly we heard a knock on the door and Lucian entered. Sir? I'm sorry, I thought your meeting was over. Mr. President has already decided. We can call it over. Mr. Gallard, I was already leaving. Great, then we must go to the meeting room, sir. One of our new campaign advisors has some plans for the election. He's waiting on us. Let's go. Okay, well, that, off the back of what happened at the end of last episode, I thought there was going to be riots. But that's worked quite well. I know mine and Monsoon Lex friendship hasn't been the strongest, but I think we've got a mutual respect for each other. Valgsland blockades Hazeland. The island is under complete blockade by the Valgslandian Navy. Looks like that island's being moved upon. Fund political youth group. I don't think I will. I've got no interest in funding anyone like that. Fair Luxury Tax Act. The Assembly proposed an amendment to Section 6 of the Tax Code of 1949. The FLTA seeks to improve the fairness of taxation system and increase tax revenues. Section 1 sets a 15% tax rate which will be imposed on items of the luxury goods class determined by the Ministry of Economy. This encompasses jewellery, furs, sports cars, yachts, private planes. Section 2 of the amendment will establish a 10% estate tax for the conditions of purchase, sale and transfer of property, in particular in inheritance situations, +2 government budget. Sounds like a good idea to me. And this means that people that are doing really well, that want to spend their money on non-essential items, pay that a little bit more, and that's going to help our government out, and that's going to put our budget at zero. Sign that. Alcohol tax. We'll have a bit of that. Because not only does alcohol destroy nations, we might as well tax it. Yeah, socially deter the excessive amount of alcohol consumption, exactly. That has arisen in the general populace to increase tax revenues. A 20% tax on the sale of all alcohol. Yeah, I'm down with that. Section 3 establishes a 25% import tax on foreign alcohol products, which come from countries that have no trade regulations imposed on these types of goods. Yeah, this is money in the bank. Budget's back to 1. Sign it. Nice. Rain to put a lid on alcohol consumption. Yeah, alcohol's so destructive, it should be taxed, it should be banned, but we're not going to pass a ban. Especially not where you can tax it. This is not going to happen. Rumbergian plane shot. ISF Lancia reports that a Rumbergian warplane was shot down by anti-aircraft upon violating the Swedish airspace. According to the report and the general staff, the plane was flying over the town of Halgen inside Swedish borders and did not retreat upon warning. The Rumberg starting an invasion, are they? Oh, they're up to something. Emergency call on an escalating situation. I was woken up in the middle of the night by a call from the Ministry of Defence. Due to the sensitivity of the information, I had been urgently briefed in person. Put my clothes on as fast as I could. I rushed downstairs, opened the door. Sergei was waiting for me. Mr. President, this way to the car, please. We got into the car and made our way to the Ministry of Defence building without a word. I arrived and was directed downstairs. I came to a set of large doors and quickly read the sign above them. The sign read War Room. The dimly lit room was filled with cutting-edge equipment, the latest video screens, long-range radio electronics, and other devices used for communication, presentation, and planning. The centerpiece of the room was a large round table with a coat of arms of Swordland engraved on it. David, Lucian, Valken, and Iosif were already deep in discussion. I agree with your sentiments, Mr. Lancier. Going to war is simply too risky. We must maintain peace in Swordland and Eastern Murkopa at all costs. I agree, we have much to lose. Fucking right we do. Have some faith in our soldiers. Status report now. Mr. President, thank you for coming at this late hour. There is a situation. Valken, please go ahead and provide your report. Mr. President, approximately 20 minutes ago, Rumberg downed one of our planes with anti-aircraft fire from the ground. The pilot was declared killed in action. The last recorded position of the plane was inside Swordish airspace. General Kruger, I mean no offence, but are we absolutely sure that that is the case? Are you sure this happened within our borders? No offence taken. Here are the locations of the map and the report from the airbase. He pointed to several markers on the map. To answer your question, yes, we are absolutely sure. You can see here on the map that the plane was downed approximately 10 kilometers inside our borders. We have calculated the trajectory of the gunfire, and they started firing when one plane was within our border. The plane was downed near Halgan. Okay, you know what it is? I think this Rumberg's playing risky business. The plane with fire, because what they're looking to provoke us. We know they want a war. We need to be cautious. A war with Rumberg is the last thing we want right now. I completely agree. It looks like they are trying to lure us into their trap. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. This is an attack against Swordland, and under different circumstances the response to that is clear, but the current status of our military is also clear. Yeah, we've got no funding. We are not adequately equipped for such a foe. I agree, Mr. President. We can't look weak. If we appear weak, they will jump on this opportunity. We must order a military retaliation immediately. Did you start losing your common sense, General Valken? You know the state our army is in right now. A retaliation is too risky. When was our job not risky, Mr. Lancier? Mr. President, our army is ready to do whatever it takes to protect Swordland. Gentlemen, before it comes to that point, we can prevent further bloodshed by using diplomacy. The room fell silent before Iosif finally spoke up. Mr. President, what are your orders? Right, what's our choice? Start the war machine, go to war, an eye for an eye, or we will approach this diplomatically and try to de-escalate the situation by any means. No one wants war. Yeah, we can't go to war. Lucian tensed up, shoulders relaxed. Thank you, sir. I will immediately begin working on it. With Mr. Whiskey's capabilities, I am sure that we will de-escalate the situation successfully. We will keep you updated on our progress. This is our best bet. If you ask me, this is just plain old weakness we are showing them right now. The thing is though, showing weakness or showing strength is going to make no difference if Rumberg's going to go to war. We might as well try to prevent it, because whether we go to war, whether we initiate war, or whether we go to war on Rumberg's, after like Rumberg declares war, we're going to be in the same position. So let's play it safe, because our military's position isn't going to change either way. I am frankly disappointed, Mr. President. May it save your disappointment for someone that cares. If we can't even retaliate at such an attack, what will become of the country in the future? That's all this guy wants. Kruger just wants to fucking shoot a gun at someone. Peace must be maintained at all costs. I am saying this as a man who has seen too many years of war. We're not the ones that are attacking the peace. Regardless, it looks like your decision has been made, Mr. President. I know when I'm not needed. I will take my leave. Before he left the room, he saluted. Well, now that we know the way forward, I have an idea, Mr. President. I think we should hold a military parade to display our strength. I'm with Mr. Lancier on this one. This should work well as a deterrent and will come in handy as a tool to de-escalate the situation. I don't think it will. It doesn't sound like a good idea. Why is everyone in favour of this? Simple and effective without causing any ruckus. No. Now we can't do anything to provoke a war. No, we need to create a peaceful image for Swordland. Understood. That is all, Mr. President. I'll keep you updated on the situation. For now, have a good night's sleep. You will need it. I couldn't sleep at all that night. And hell, if you knew you were on the brink of war, yeah, I don't think I'd sleep either. Swordish plane shot down. Yeah, we know this. Urgent meeting on potential alliances. I was sitting right across from David in the White Room after he scheduled an urgent meeting. I knew that the matter must have been serious. He insisted on waiting for Iosif and Lucian, so we did. Lucian entered the room with Iosif by his side. Mr. President, we came as fast as we could. Mr. President, Mr. Whiskey, what's going on? David cleared his throat. Welcome everyone. Due to the potential ramifications, I wanted everyone to be present for this meeting. We have received an envoy from Arcasia. They are requesting a state visit. Judging from the cultural climate, it's not hard to see what this is about. ATO is always trying to expand its influence after all. They will most likely try to convince us to join. Intergovernmental military alliance between 14 countries. Aims to bring its members together in United Economic and Defence Framework against the CSP. Okay, but is that going to help us with Rumberg? Rumberg's not part of the CSP, are they? Balg's land. I suppose allies are good though. In addition, as part of the state visit, Dwight Walker will of course meet with you in person, Mr. President. Politician and businessman? Okay. Establishment of the ATO, so he established it. Right. As much as I share their ideals, we need to be wary. Yeah, what exactly do they want from this? I bet he will come asking us for cooperation under the guise of enforcing their demands to join the ATO. This will antagonise half of the world against us exactly, and we are going to be at the forefront of the battle. With the courage of our troops and our allies, we can defend our nation against anyone. I assure you, we don't need any outside help. Are you sure, Iosif? I want to take the least amount of risks for Swordland. There is way more risk in entering a pact with the ATO. Mr. Whiskey, we rely a lot on you as an expert in your field with a proven track record. What's your take on this? What do you think is the right action? World tension is increasing rapidly, Mr. President, and I am worried about the future. One misstep and the whole world might be engulfed in chaos. I am afraid it might not be possible to stay neutral in this case. Our geopolitical position is simply too important. Soon we'll have to take a side. If we don't pick a side, we may end up right in the middle of a potential conflict. I am of the opinion that this is an opportunity that we can't miss. It all boils down to your decision. But I say we should at least listen to what Dwight Walker has to say. Lucian, what do you think? We heard our experts. You are the one who has to decide, sir. What is the offer? Is the offer just to meet? Okay, I think the least we can do is meet with him and see what the offer is on the table. I'll send our response immediately. Then there is a tiny detail we need to get over with. How should we welcome the delegation, sir? A plain welcome will suffice. They are the ones who are requesting this. As you wish, I have taken a note. I think that's all for today. Thank you for attending. As we dispersed, the world map hanging on the wall in the room caught my attention. I walked over to it. How often were the lines on the world map redrawn over the recent decades? What about the future? Right, well I think we should have this meeting with this guy and find out what's the crack-a-lackin'. State visit to President Walker. Door to the car opened and flashes went off. Dwight Walker, President of Arcasia, head of the ATO, came out of the car, smiling and waving at the enormous crowd that gathered. It was not every day an Arcasian president came to visit Sutherland after all. President Walker stepped on the carpet and started to make his way towards us. Along with Monica, I started walking over to meet him midway. Finally, I was in reaching distance of one of the most powerful men in the world. He looked at Monica first, bowed and kissed her hand for a second longer than I liked. Ooh, he's a grubby little cunt, isn't he? Mr. Rain, if you told me I would get to meet with your lovely wife, I would have come sooner. I'm charmed, Miss Rain. Oh my, thank you, Mr. Walker. It's a pleasure to meet with you. No, the pleasure's all mine, Miss Rain. I hope your wife and family is well. They are very well, Miss Rain. Thank you. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it here today. And who do we have here? Mr. President? It is so good to finally meet with you. We shook hands. Welcome to Swordland. Thank you. He turned and looked around. I was almost going to think that you weren't expecting me. I'm a simple man, not really a fan of extravagance. Of course not. I was almost going to think that you weren't. Of course not. You're a guest of honour. I'm just joking, Mr. President. Don't fret over it. He laughed. We started walking towards the reception hall in the palace. Our path was cleared of people at once. He was simply looking around at the extraordinary interior design of the Maroon Palace. Statues, paintings and various ornaments filled both sides of the corridor. We passed the corridor and entered the reception hall. The crowd inside was composed of various politicians and state figures. Upon our entry, they started clapping. Dry martinis were handed to both of us. Everyone, let's give a warm welcome to our guest of honour. People started clapping. Thank you, President Rain. It's really good to be here. And thank you everyone for the warm welcome. With another thunderous round of applause, the jazz band started playing. President Walker and I separated and started mingling with the crowd. After some time chatting with the attendees, President Walker approached us. He bowed before my wife. Ms. Rain, can I call you Monica? She looked over at me before smiling at him. Yes, of course, if I can call you Dwight. He took her hand and started dancing. I turned around to talk to this waiter. Does this guy think we're entering into some sort of swingers pack because it's fucking not on? I was into my third martini when I heard a whistle. I turned around and saw Monica dancing very closely with President Walker. All eyes in the room were on them. President Walker grabbed Monica's waist. President Walker, why don't we have a chat somewhere quiet? Right when we were getting to the good part. Fine, let's have a chat. We arrived at a cosy little corner office with not much inside. He took a seat and I followed suit. He pulled out 2 cigars. I don't smoke, Mr. Walker, thanks. These are the best cigars in the world, I guarantee it. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. He pulled out a Ripple lighter and lit his cigar. I heard you got into a scandal. Truly unfortunate chain of events. Indeed. He grinned. What's this guy's deal? Why is he such a creeper? Relax, it's just a scandal. I am no reporter. I just made it out alive of a bad one myself. Oof, it was a rough one too. You get used to it. A couple people in prison, couple people silenced, you know the drill. Cheers to your survival there, Mr. Rain. We clinked our glasses and took a sip. Ah, this is a really good one. Very smoky, I like it. I'm glad you liked it. He took a puff from his cigar, filling the small room with smoke. Definitely miles better than Valg's Landian whiskey. But I like lesbian whiskey more. It pairs better with their cigars. You see, Mr. Rain, whiskies are a little bit like countries. Some are stronger, some are weaker, some are older, some are younger. Many are complex, but sometimes simple is the best. I personally like stronger whiskies in general. That's why I like this one. Yes, it's definitely promising. Whatever you drink, in the end, it all boils down to your own taste, and I assure you, Mr. Rain, my sense of taste is very refined. What type of whiskey do you like? I like stronger ones. A man after my own heart. He tugged at his tie to loosen it a little. You know why I'm here. I want to make you an offer. I'm listening. Good. Listen closely. Times are changing and so is the balance of the world. Soon, instead of a fractured world, we will see a more united world. There is us. ATO against them. I want you by our side, the winning side. I think there is much we can achieve together and you have shown me the proof. A friend of Lesbia is our friend as well. If you accept, I would like to extend you a warm welcome to the ATO as a full member state. This of course comes along with lots of privileges and responsibilities. In the ATO we protect each other. We have a mutual defence clause in the case of war. Join us, Mr. Rain, and you will have the entire backing of ATO soldiers, jet fighters, warships, whatever you like. During peacetime you will see the effects even more. Our combined production output will benefit both Swordland and ATO. We will have free trade zone agreements, free visa access, investments, you name it. This sounds like the European Union. I don't want this. The only issue I'm plagued with is the possible war. That's why this guy's here. This is why this guy come at this time. Because he's trying to use the war as a chip, a bargaining chip. All I ask in return is mutual loyalty to one another in the pact. The Swordish Armed Forces will be a member of the ATO military. Nah. All branches, be it Air, Navy, Army, will collaborate with the Alliance network. We will provide assistance and training for free. Our armies will learn how to fight together and be stronger than ever in the face of the Malenovist threat. Let's make history here tonight. What do you say? Ooh. I'm not sure. I know I'm walking a very fine line, but this is not the direction I wanted to take my country in. I don't want to be part of a union. It's like the EU. I don't want that. I want my own army. I can't be having a joint army, because then that puts us at a disadvantage by whatever the ATO demand. Nah. Thank you for the offer, however we currently have no plans to enter ATO. At least I know that I tried. Don't close yourself to the opportunity. Maybe you are not ready now, but you might be ready in the future. Okay, well that's good. He hasn't taken offence. I usually get what I want, Mr. Rain, and trust me, you won't get rid of me that easily. He smiled and we shook hands. Regardless, it was good to meet with you. I hope this is a start of something good. He grabbed his glass and downed the remaining whiskey. Now it starts to taste better. Let's go upstairs, Mr. Rain, and join the party, Mr. Rain. I have a few more dance moves to show off. I'm sure he does. Right, well, at least that went a bit better. I didn't think that guy would have taken rejection too well, but he did. But they are, although not a direct ally, they are an ally in the sense that we have allied ourselves with Lesbia. So that's probably why he was very friendly. Late night at the Rain household. After weeks of late nights, Monica, Sierra and the Women's Rights Commission has succeeded in getting their bill through the Assembly. Good news. It was as comprehensive as they could have hoped for. I was looking forward to celebrating with my wife. But it had been hours since I'd gotten home and she still wasn't there. I was dozing on the couch after yet another frozen TV dinner when I heard the key turn in the lock. Monica stumbled into the hall. Honey, I'm home. Kiss her. I kissed her, her breath smelled like gin. I was just having a few drinks with Sierra. I can't believe that we did it, Anton. This is such amazing news. She hiccuped. You could have invited me to the celebrations. Oh, you would have found it boring, and somebody had to look after Dina. I'm starting to see what I put you through all those years. I believe you're turning into a politician, Miss Rain. Get used to it, baby. Seriously, Anton, this is what I want to do. I've never felt so alive. Hug her. I pulled her into a hug and she wrapped her arms around me tightly. Now all we have to do is make sure you stay in office. With you by my side, how can I lose, baby? Monica smiled, took my hand and wordlessly led me upstairs to the bedroom. Yeah! This is what I want, son! Oh, nice, we're smashing back doors in everywhere. Right. Kibna condemns President Rain. Kisaro Kibna? And why would you do that? The leader of the National Front Party has condemned me. Why? For unbanning the Bludish Freedom Party, which he called a separatist political movement with an aim to destroy the Swedish nation. Well, he wouldn't be happy with that, would he? In fact, I didn't... Hold on. I don't recall unbanning the Bludish Freedom Party. Oh, the Minority Rights Act has been signed, so this is what caused that. The main purpose of this act is to normalise, legalise and even justify the Bludish separatist sentiment. Okay, so that was the consequence of that. Okay, I wasn't unsure of what happened, but that's what's okay. That's cost us Kibna. I don't think it matters. Workers' Party leader poisoned. The leader of the Workers' Party of Bloods is rumoured to be poisoned by a nerve agent on his way home from Daya to Asana. Jesus. He was taken to a local hospital where he lies in a coma. Nationalists attempted to assassinate Ejal. Faith Ejal is a socialist writer and Bludish descent. He was poisoned. So that's the guy that got poisoned. Suzerain creates peace line to avert war. Good. That's what we need. Valga's Landian Navy spotted in full force in Hazeland. This is going to kick off. According to intelligence reports, Valga's Landian Navy gathered in full force around Hazeland, blocking the island. The reports warn about a possible violent conflict between Agnolian and Valgalandian forces. Swedish Navy in Conriat is on standby. One-on-one interview from Kairut. Lucien Gallard organised an interview for the presidency on the internationally renowned One-on-One. The famous journalist Tuomas Saka will be asking the questions. Okay, so we're going on bloody national TV. Well, I don't know how I feel about that. It might be good to get the word out, but it's also possible it might be a complete personal assassination on my character. Could happen. I don't mean assassination bang bang, I mean like personality assassination. Right, wait, let's have a drink before we get into this. Hold on, look what I've just noticed. We were at 1 bar off maximum. We are now at full economic development. Everything's fallen into place. We're at full swing. The sun was starting to peek through the blinds of my suite in the Grand Chariot Hotel in Enrica. I hadn't slept at all that night. I was too busy thinking about how I would rally my party's Conservatives base at today's election kickoff. I was just pulling on my clothes when 2 soft sharp knocks came at the door. Lucien. Good morning, sir. Morning, Lucien. Lucien sat down in the suite's office chair and pulled a piece of paper from his jacket pocket. I just thought I'd drop off some talking points for your speech today. Much appreciated. No trouble at all. Ready to hit the campaign trail yet again? I'm ready if you are, Mr. President. I'll see you at the rally. I almost forgot. The Archpriest of Daya couldn't be present today, but wanted to relay a message to support you and your family. What did he say? Bless the rains down in Enrica. Lucien left the room. I finished putting on my tie and reread my notes for the morning speech. A few hours later, I was waiting in the wings of the Norsword Auditorium in Anrika. In the audience were several thousand of my conservative supporters. Okay, so maybe this doesn't matter that guy. Maybe it doesn't matter that Kibana has fucking put a hit piece out on me. Behind the podium hung a Swordfish flag and giant banner that read, "For a united Swordland." Everyone cheered as I walked on stage, though Mayor Curtin Lest was now part of the opposition as a member of the NFP. So the National Front opposes me now, does it? It seemed most of Anrika was still on my side. Good. Albin gave a short speech introducing me, then it was my turn. I stepped behind the podium and took a deep breath. Brothers and sisters of the USP. The past 3.5 years have seen our country tested again and again. Been the hardest time of my life. The past 3.5 years have seen our country tested again and again. Yet I stand before you now ready to pledge myself to God. No, that's not going to happen. Yet Swordland has prevailed under my administration. We are stronger than ever. Together we managed to get the economic crisis under control. That's right. I have pulled Swordland's economy from the depths of recession. Actually no, together we managed to get the economic crisis under control. Under my presidency we have enjoyed unprecedented harmony. Under my presidency, Swordfish citizens united like never before. I will continue to defend Swordland against threats, whether internal or external. I will consider to seek retribution. I will continue to fight for constitutional reforms. I will continue to defend Swordland against threats, whether internal or external. And I will continue to root out corruption and wrongdoing even within the institutions we hold dear. Thunderous applause erupted. Swordland has changed, but the USP remains as strong as ever. Yeah, let's say that. Don't say the other one. I am the USP. I am the law. Nah. Swordland has changed, but the USP remains as strong as ever. There's been tremendous progress made. I promise you we can't lose. There has been tremendous progress made in this term and more to come. I and Vice President Calvin shall lead Swordland into a bright new era. A roar shook the hall. They are absolutely loving this. We will form a broad coalition of supporters to make sure morning finally comes. It's time, my fellow swords. A new dawn is upon us, and it begins right here, right now. We will form a broad coalition of supporters to make sure morning finally comes. It's time to get back on board the rain train. As Morgana Westcall. The audience enthusiastically finished the saying as streamers shot out of cannons behind me. My re-election campaign had officially begun. I stepped down from the podium. Well, that sounded like great success. Right, what's in the news? Red youth and young swords fight. Well, I don't care if they kill themselves, they can do what they want. Young swords oppress Bludish protesters. Briefing on the current economic situation. I arrived at the Ministry of Economy and proceeded upstairs. An assistant waiting by the door of the meeting room took my jacket. I opened the door and entered the largest room in the building. Simon was sitting alone with a glass of water. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good to see you. Likewise. He stood up when I entered and approached me. After a quick handshake, I took a seat. A knock was heard on the door and Albin entered the room. Apologies, I got held up. Did you start yet? Mr. Vice President, no, not yet. Now that everyone's here, let's begin. As you all know, the agenda today is the economy review of our entire term. I will brief you quickly on what we have done so far, just as a refresher. Very well. From the pile he produced 2 booklets and handed them over to us. Our extra focus on the economy has resulted in some small-scale positive growth. The extra resource allowed my ministry to optimise our plans as much as possible. It would be great if we follow up on this focus next term. Let's delve into more ingrained economic details now. Please turn to page 5. Let's start with the economy plan. I would like to say we're on track, but I can't. What? Our economy is maxed out, mate? Our decisions so far have been disruptive of our initial plan to go for a market economy. Unfortunately, we've been largely inconsistent and our economy has taken a hit because of it. Simon, are me and you looking at the same thing? Oh, I suppose it might mean with the decisions we've made to help the society. That's the price we pay for doing the right thing. I agree, circumstances change and so do plans. Just pointing out the facts here. Let's move on with the report. Page 16. I'm happy to say that our trade has increased since the beginning of our term. We are on the right path. We should keep it and maximise the potential. More trade means a more vibrant economy which will increase our economic development. Although an argument can be made for it, we have started to become heavily reliant on other foreign economies. I don't see what's wrong with it. The world is moving towards globalisation, we might as well get a head start. That is exactly an argument that can be made for it. We still need to try and aim for a more balanced approach. We will have to carefully consider this matter on our second term. Please turn to page 17. While trying to fix the issues with our economic system, we went for a mixed approach. We didn't hold businesses above else, and also tried to answer the request of the Swedish citizens. The balance is delicate and fragile. Thankfully, the living standards are steadily increasing. We receive less and less complaints about our welfare system, which means more votes. Jackanory. Now page 34. We have lost value in terms of our production rates compared to the last years. This is one of our weakest points right now. Then we need to fix this as soon as possible and need everyone on this next term. As you wish. I will take a note. Moving on to the logistics. We have problems in terms of logistics in our country. The infrastructure is currently lacking in quality and quantity. We need to make new roads and improve the already existing ones. There is rightful complaints from the people and the businesses. Ease of access means faster delivery and a more vibrant internal economy after all. Mate, I just created a brand new road. We are very close to an end and I want to talk about numbers. Please turn to page 57. Our inflation rate is currently at an amazing 2%, down from 7%, lowest that I've seen Sweden since the beginning of our country. Swedish rent's value has been largely maintained and the consumer prices have been stabilised, which means that the Swedish citizens are happier. We are writing history here. Agreed. Mr. President, do you have any questions so far? What's our debt situation? Our debt is at 360 billion. So we've lowered the debt. We've lowered the national debt. Fucking pow! Down from 427 billion. What's that? 40, 50, 67 billion down at the beginning of our term. Brilliant. We managed to bring it down quite a bit. As a result, the international investment has increased along with our government budget. What about unemployment? The unemployment rate is at 5%, down from 16%. We've absolutely smashed its back doors in. The change is mostly due to the investments in economic planning. And what are the latest numbers for our GDP? That 513 billion, a major increase from the 310 billion we had at the beginning of our term. As per the latest stats, the economy grew 60% in the last four years on average. Oh my god, that is like unbelievable growth. We are enjoying an increased economic capacity. Those are all the questions I had. Very well. I want to quickly highlight our budget expenditure. The numbers I got tell that overall we have been pretty conservative when spending our government budget. That is good. I'm glad you're being conservative spending it because I don't like it being wasted. It's good virtue to think ahead, however. We shouldn't forget that money that is not spent is just a piece of paper. Now, going into the elections and hopefully a second term, we need to decide on the way forward. One thing is clear, currently we have a solid economy, more than enough flexibility for something grand. This will ensure a dramatic increase to public opinion and the approval rates for our administration. It's sure to be helpful with the elections. What should we do, Mr. President? Any ideas? Okay. We will pay back all student debts. We will give an unemployment wage to the people. We will provide housing assistance to the citizens. Or nothing. Cost 3 government. So that'll put us... No matter what we do, it's going to be -2 budget at the end of this. But I'm sure somebody said somewhere that we're getting an increased government budget, so it might not be that bad. Right, wait there. I've completely ruled out giving an unemployment wage to the people because that encourages unemployment. We're definitely not doing that. We will provide housing assistance to the citizens. I don't think that's going to help our economy. What I do think will help our economy is we will pay back all the student debts. We've gained a lot of brand new nurses, doctors and things with all of our other policies that we put in place. If we can get rid of their debts and just put us on a lovely level playing field to propel Swordland from there, I'm going to pay back all the student debts. That is an excellent idea. Very well, consider it done. Now that's out the way. On to the most important question of all, how are we doing with the recession? I see a few smiles in the room. I think we earned it. We've almost eradicated the recession in its entirety. We are now in a period that I call the Swordlish recovery period. This warrants a celebration for sure. I like the sound of it. Swordlish recovery period. We have done well. History will remember the Reign administration as the administration that ended the recession. Congratulations everyone. This was only a dream a few years ago and we achieved it. We will go out for drinks tonight, but for now, that is all for our meeting today. Thank you for coming. The meeting ended and I walked fast to the cafeteria to grab a coffee. Right. Well, that is... wow. That was amazingly positive. Protesters occupy the Blue Mansion. Protesters in Latchavan marched to Republic Avenue to occupy the City Hall. The government building demanded the resignation of Anton Rain, alleging that the president has violated the constitutional right of the protesters and blamed the government for pushing the country into chaos. I think this newspaper, Sword Today, it's writing bullshit. None of this is even true. Where do you think young swords clash? NFP welcomes General Ludwig's son. The National Front Party has welcomed General Ludwig's son into their midst today. Seeing him back in politics is shocking to many citizens. Ludwig infamously organised the military coup against former President Whiskey that led to the Swordish Civil War. Mr. Kibner has organised the event to appeal to his voter base. Yeah, okay. So is this guy... This guy's trying to... Swordish Civil War. This guy isn't planning on it. Planning on starting a coup. For me. Is he organising a military coup against me? Because if that's what I'm reading rightly here. This is a symbolic step for the NFP, as Ludwig was arguably the most well-known nationalist in Swordland. Amnesty given to thousands, together with the revocation of the ban on the BFP, the Bludish Freedom Party, and subsequent amnesty. About 6,000 people who were arrested in the 1930s and 40s for their ties to the Bludish Freedom Front have now been released. Bludish Freedom Party starts campaigning. Joined the election race immediately after being legalised. They announced that Ramzu Kozak will be the party's presidential candidate. The first rally is in Daya tomorrow. Celebration in Suzerain. Many of the locals in Suzerain gathered in Suzerain City Square to celebrate the revocation of the ban of the Bludish Freedom Party. Okay, so although we might not have their full support politically, it's eased massive tensions in this region. And I believe we might be a complete democratic date now. Nobody should be getting I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. There should be no more prejudice between any nations. Okay, right, what's next? PFJP Richter slogan, victory for everyone. Franz Richter and the People's Freedom for Justice Party are making waves in Lashaven. Their campaign slogan, victory for everyone, covered the city after a campaign visit to the city. They have been the United Southern Party's major opposition since their formation, each year earning a higher percentage of voters. Now we should have, although we don't have Franz Richter's support, we have the support of the PFJP because we've got we made that guy the vice president. Okay lads, what we'll do is we'll call it an episode here, and when we come back we will schedule this television interview. This could be a shit show, but I want to make I'm gonna make it as successful as possible. See you in the next one, lads.